Hello, hello. Happy Thursday. What is this song? There's like ducks quacking in the background, and like someone just occasionally keeps saying technology. Like, what's happening? No thanks. Here we go. All right. Happy Thursday. How's everyone doing? We're going to remember how to actually do game dev today. Chill ambient tech ASMR. Yeah, that's what I was hoping for. What we ended up with last track was something else. How's it going? All right, so yesterday we kind of talked a little bit about the talks I saw at GDC, and kind of we drafted up this kind of like almost like a little release strategy with the goal of launching an alpha minimum viable product kind of deal on itch in like a year. And then we got a basic roadmap of how to go from there all the way to some kind of 1.0 release sometime in the distant future. Hey, Rhiannon Journey, how's it going? Welcome in. Good to see you. I added a couple things to this just to flesh it out a little more, as far as like, it's very clear that our minimum viable product involves the tile block editor, which is like our ship editor tool. And we need this to even be able to do the shipboard simulation, which is going to be like, you know, a pathfindable, you know, space, which is our ship that we've made, where crew can run around, power up different systems, do different stuff, you know, the good stuff. Just a whole functioning shipboard simulation, no big deal. So these are our like two main initial focuses. We've pretty much done the block editor. We've got a few more tweaks today, including an idea that someone had yesterday. I think I was talking to Rhiannon and Ryson about it, but we're gonna add a little. We're gonna try to add a little grid thing to make it a little easier to see which level you're working on. We're gonna do that today, but we're getting pretty close to being able to move on towards the simulation, I hope. And then we'll need a little scenario editor, which like this is almost like too broad a description of what we're gonna do initially, which is really just a way of setting parameters for the tactical battlefield, which I'm calling the 9-box battlefield, which we kind of talked about its structure, about how it has a central tile and then 4 adjacent and 4 diagonal tiles next to it. This is where ships will fight and where encounters in general will take place. And the scenario editor I have in mind for this initial version is very bare bones. It's like, load this ship, put it here, load this ship, put it there. This ship is friendly, this ship is enemy, this ship is yours. Like, super bare bones initial version of the scenario editor, but I think eventually the scenario editor is gonna be much more general. It's gonna be much more about how we script and set up any encounter. So like maybe you go up to a space station or a refueling station, or like maybe, you know, you get ambushed in a nebula, or, you know, all the different kind of FTL style encounters you can imagine. Because right now I call this a battlefield where ships fight, because that's kind of the initial version of the 9-box, but eventually it's just going to be where encounters play out. So maybe in the spirit of Star Trek, maybe you have like a rescue mission instead of, maybe not everything's a fight. Maybe there's a distress signal and you find a ship that's like on fire or under attack, and you have to protect it and like evacuate it or repair it or whatever, what have you. Like some other, I'm thinking about encounters beyond just the straight up, here's an enemy, blow it up. But that's definitely the initial version of this editor, is really going to just be a test bed for the ships, so we can test interactions between the ships, because the shipboard simulation is more about the internal happenings within the ship. It's less about ships interacting with other ships. And admittedly, usually that interaction is going to be like firing a torpedo or hitting someone with a phaser or something like that. And then we're going to work towards a full release, which is going to include like a campaign editor, with a campaign simulation. So this is like the run-based part. This is like in FTL, like the whole series of systems you go through on your way to defeating the rebel flagship, you know. This is going to be the editor that lets us construct that more overarching run-based. So this stuff is all about the core inner loop. The campaign editor is about like the middle loop, which is like, so there's like the inner loop of like individual ship fights and stuff, encounters. We're gonna call them encounters. And then the campaign is the middle loop, which is like how you string all those encounters together into a run or a campaign. Like an individual run of the game from beginning to end. And then I realize we're also gonna need like run progression. And run progression, by this I mean a couple different things. I mean like progression within the run, like the ability to like upgrade the ship or do different things. I also mean like progression between runs, which I guess I should probably specify. But we're thinking about like a metagame progression, which actually I might actually move that over into the beta, the metagame progression. Because I added only a couple things to the beta launch, which is going to be our like Steam early access, like we take money for the game release when we move out of alpha, which will always be free on itch. We talked about a lot of this stuff yesterday. I'm just kind of summarizing it for myself and for anyone who's just hopping in, hasn't caught me since GDC. But yeah, when we move into the beta, the real difference is we're going to have a Steam workshop, so we'll have support for modding or exchanging mods. We'll always have support for modding because we're building these editor tools directly into the game. But yeah, having a way to share it is a whole different ball game. And then additional content, and that's just me making more content. Because I imagine the alpha is kind of like a horizontal slice. Like it's an example of all of the different systems of the game being in one place, but then we need to flesh that out. Like if we only have 100, if by the end of the alpha we've written like 100 scenarios, for the beta we need like 1,000. We just need a content explosion, right? Just to provide more variety and more different things to do. We'll need more ships, we'll need more campaign things and scenarios to run through, and more progression. Increasing the progression is going to be huge. So additional content in my mind means just the systems are done, the systems are all in place, and it's just about increasing the amount of content. Rhiannon, what kinds of things would the meta progression unlock? I don't know, because that's kind of the divide between like a roguelike, quote unquote, and like a more roguelite, quote unquote thing. Is like with a roguelite, with a T, there's like a meta progression, so you generally get more powerful as you run, as you do more runs. I don't know how much I want to do that. It might just be things like if you defeat a ship, or if you fulfill some kind of mission or quest line or something like that, maybe you get access to a new ship, and it's like kind of like an FTL where you can do things and get access to new ships. You can like get achievements or discover new ships in the game. That's probably more what we're talking about. So when I say run progression here, I'm probably mean within the run. And then I'm not sure what, maybe we'll put like meta progression here somewhere. I'm gonna add a card for meta progression. So I don't know what that's gonna be, but we definitely need to start thinking about that at that point. We don't need to think about it now. But yeah, it's mainly gonna depend on how much we want, or whether we want to increase players' power, which I don't really want to do. I don't really want to increase the players' power run to run. Like if you do better, I want it to be because you understand the game better. But I do want to increase the variety of things you could do. I want to increase the variety of experiences you can have. And if that means unlocking new campaigns or new ships or new systems, like maybe you gain access to a system that you didn't have before. I'll call this meta progression. And we'll make that we'll put this here just to make it distinct from run progression, because to me run progression is your progression within a given run. But we'll put meta progression here. Whoa. Hey Fusionist. How's it going? How are you doing today? And I think that's kind of it for here. I mean, there isn't really anything I'm putting on gold here. Download content. I don't think I have room to write. I could say DLC or whatever, but like, I don't know. I feel like there's the less exciting a transition between beta and gold or whatever. I'm calling gold. That's an archaic sense because you don't really go gold anymore in a game release. Hey, this right here screams, I came back from GDC. Yeah, that's kind of what we talked about this pretty much all last stream, but I just wanted to review some of it before we got into the work today. How it goes? It's good. I think I'm ramping my way back up into streaming. Like yesterday's stream was kind of short. Today's stream will also kind of be short just because I've been working a lot to catch up on everything. But we're gonna ease our way back in and figure out how to like do game dev again. Having forgotten. Rhiannon. The gold version will have licensed content tie-ins like a Star Trek campaign. Hey, that would be fun. No, I think gold will just be like an accomplishment. I think it'll just be like the beta is done. We have all of these things fleshed out. I'm not clear about whether these are requirements or these are just the things we're gonna work on once we go gold or whatever. So does beta mean like beta will have Steam Workshop? That's like the whole point of going into beta. But like, do I need to bank up a bunch of additional content before I launch the beta? Or is it when the alpha is done, we'll release the alpha, also release the beta, and then start working on this stuff? So like, yeah, I've written these things out and it's not clear to me personally whether this means whether we're talking about these are the requirements to launch versus, you know, these are the focus. This is going to be our focus once we reach this point. I think I need to think more about that. Because for the MVP launch, like these are the requirements. We need to have all 4 of these things. And then we'll have launched this thing. But maybe the alpha is distinct because it's kind of a separate thing. It's like we don't have anything before we have this. And then once we have this, we kind of work towards the next things. I don't want to put anything under gold like expansions or downloadable content or whatever. I'm going to change this to say Steam. Put this here. And then here I'm going to put a new card. And I'm going to say console ports, ? Because I think gold is where we start thinking about console ports. All right, now I've got something on there. Now I have something on the list there. Just so we have something, you know. But yeah, I'm reasonably happy with this very vague. What we need to do is we need to break out the alpha and we need to break out these things, and I need to do some actual like project planning stuff as far as how long I think it's going to take us to get through this different stuff. Because like we've been working on the editor for months. It's like pretty much done. It's got some features left that I want to work out, but it is substantially done. Shipboard simulation. This will probably be the vast majority of the work, but the 9-box battlefield is also going to be complicated for sure. Oh, come on. How did this? There we go. All right. Well, I think that's enough of that for now. I think I want to do some work. We're going to work on adding a grid, a construction grid that follows the cursor around as you move around in an attempt to make it a little more clear. What version is this? 4.4.1 stable. Okay, good. Yeah. We're having some depth gauge issues where it's hard to tell where you're working in the tile editor tool, and we're going to work on that. We're going to use our little dotted line thing. Get the project open in Writer. Still haven't figured out how to hide these UID files in here. I feel like I don't need to see them. Like, I do need to see them sometimes, because I do want to use these UIDs for loading assets and stuff, so I don't have to worry about file architecture. But the only thing that's going to actually do that is probably the game node here. So I could probably only look at the UID files in Godot, and that would be sufficient, but I haven't figured out how to hide these yet. All right, all that's to say, let's load this project up so we can see where we're at. Oh, I need to switch back to Vulkan. We'll do that today. I think I'm back to... All right, so here's it with the... I'm showing the elastic grid. This is the thing that shows us where, like, what the limits of the actually used space in the build area is. And the reason we have that is because I want to change the way this buildable area works. We support a maximum buildable area, but I want a dynamic buildable area. Like, I want the buildable area to grow as needed, essentially, around the construction up to some limit. And it needs to recenter itself. That's also part of the reason why we're doing this, so that it can recenter itself for rotations, for camera rotations. So we want to work on some of that stuff as well. But the thing that I want to work on right now is, like, let's say we just start working on stuff on different layers. Let's just say we throw a bunch of different layers here. These are just floor layers. I'm not bothering to add anything else. It's kind of hard sometimes to see where we are. Like, we can tell that we're on this layer only because, like, the other layers are peeling away above it. But that's not always obvious. Like here, what layer am I on here? Like, I know I'm underneath this layer, but what about this layer? Oh, I'm on this layer, not this layer. Like, there's context clues for me, but I don't think it's sufficient for an observer to have much of an idea. But I think if we introduce a grid that follows the mouse cursor around, like, let's say 3 or 4 tiles. I would like to fade the grid out, but that seems like that might be kind of hard. But I would like to do that. I would like to have a grid that's just minimally invasive. I don't actually mind this outer grid that we're seeing, but I think it's less helpful than an actual little grid thing. Oh, this is more complicated than I'm thinking, because we want the grid to follow the cursor around, but we don't want it to, like, I wouldn't want the grid to show up here because I'm actually a level above this surface. So I actually only want the grid to show up if there is a tile, if there's a floor tile here. I think is how I want that to go. Like, I think I only want the grid to reflect off of an actual surface. So then you can tell if you're on that surface, because the grid is being shown on the surface. Whereas if you're not on any surface, you can kind of tell that you aren't. I think that would be good. I don't know. Let's think about how we're going to start doing something like that. It is really hard to tell where you are in an isometric 2D space like that, because it's impossible to distinguish between whether something is below you or like behind you, just because it's that forced perspective. So what we're doing here, this is all happening in the tile system. So the tile system has a number of, get rid of that. So in the tile system, we have the update construction grid. So this is like the outer grid. We could repurpose this to an extent. What's this? What's going on here? Oh, we have some allocation issues here. Do we have allocation issues anywhere else? We're allocating a bunch of heap memory here. Is this the only issue that we've identified right now? Yeah, it's this list we're using. Using lists is not ideal here. Grid tiles.add. How are we getting around this? Are we getting around this in the other scripts because we're using a member variable? In which case we're not having to resize the list all the time. I think that's the problem here, is we're constantly resizing this list. Okay. We can work around that. So what I need to do is first thing I need to do is work out the actual grid part. Because right now, this is the kind of grid we're drawing. It's like an outline grid. What we actually want for this stuff is like an inner grid. We want stuff like this. So if we have a tile here, we want to, oh, can I not do that? I actually have never added a full. So right now what we're doing is we're building stuff from the outside. So if we want to outline this tile, we're actually building that from the outside. We're actually putting tiles around the edges, around the outer edges of the thing that we actually want to cover. That doesn't totally work for what we have in mind, for the grid outline thing that we have in mind. What if the grid like casts down from your cursor to whatever the nearest surface was? Would that be even more helpful? Because then you could actually tell where you are in 3D space, rather than just have a grid follow the mouse around if the mouse is over a surface. What if the grid like would cast itself down to whatever point, to like whatever the cursor point is? And that we could achieve with this simple single. That I wouldn't even do with a tile map. That would just be like a, well, maybe it would be with a tile map. It's tough because we're trying to figure out a way of visualizing where the cursor is relative to, I don't want to save whatever I did here. Don't save. I need to look at this a little more. So I create this. I guess we do want like a selection outline is kind of what we're talking about. It's kind of like the selection outline here, but it's almost just like a hover. It's almost like a thing that just follows the cursor around. And the clever part is that we want it to, if we then go down a few levels, and we build something here, and then we go back up a few levels, we want the selection thing to show up here. So we want like the selection thing to appear, even if the mouse cursor is up here. Oh, that's nice. It could also fade out, so you could tell if you were above. I kind of like this. I think this is the direction we're going to go. And we'll use a tile map because this way, if you make a selection and then you start to move it around, this thing will follow you around. Actually, that's probably what it should do, is it should probably follow you around. These are different things, I think. I think I'm mixing up the hover outline with the selection outline. And right now we're just using one set of like dotted lines. Maybe I need some different things to explain what's happening here. Maybe I use a solid line for one of these, for the hover, instead of the dotted line. Either way, I want to go back to hiding this thing. Let's, because I remembered it, let's try to change the rendering. Rendering device, driver, Vulkan, driver windows. Let's make that Vulkan. Oh, I have to save and restart the whole engine to do that. That's fine. We had to switch from out of Vulkan because of a NVIDIA driver issue that should be resolved now. Hey, Ryson. How's it going? Let's look in here and make sure it is resolved. Yeah, it's not. We're not seeing it anymore. How are you doing? All right, let's hide this elastic levels look. Cool. Yeah, I saw you got you're putting your Ludum Dare team together. That's pretty great. Yeah, that's awesome. I looked at the Ludum Dare theme. They're calling it like the slaughter round or something. The theme slaughter round. It's kind of crazy. I voted on like a dozen or 2 dozen like themes, and then I saw that there were 1,200 themes or something like that, and I was like, I don't have time for this. That's wild. I didn't realize there was such a crazy theme calling stage for that jam. I don't think I have ever tuned into something that early, so Fusionist, you should do a little of it. Yeah, we should strive to do a little of it. I don't think anyone needs to slaughter all 1,400 themes or whatever they are. But it's soon. You've had some with like 3,000 themes, you think? Wow, that's insane. All right, so what I'm thinking, we can use this construction grid thing. We can use this. Update construction grid. We can use this for our purpose here. What we need to do, though, is we need to identify... We basically need to check the coordinate check the cursor coordinate and then start casting it down until we find a block. And that's the block we're going to cast our little selection thing to. I wonder if I should have like a vertical line or vertical lines running from that just to make it a little more clear what's happening. I don't think so. I think it'll be obvious once you see it in motion what's happening. So we have a target node. We pass in the grid bounds. So what am I going to call this? So we need to add one of these things. I need to duplicate this. And instead of calling it static, it's like, and it's not select, it's like, I'm just going to call it like hover. Oh, how are you in the wrong position? What's going on here? Why are you at this weird offset? Oh, you need to be at -8. There you go. Are you not at -8? You are not. You're also not at -8? Wait, what? That can't be right. Time to click on no 1,353 times. Yeah, that's how it's done. Yeah, there were some good themes there, and there were some truly atrocious ones. As always, true. Yeah, we'll see what happens when we get to the short list. For Ludum Dare 57, I like correctly guessed what the final theme was going to be. It was so great. Because it was the only one I had any ideas for. All right, so how does this work correctly? So the editor levels, this is the one that's actually being used. Hold on, I'm just gonna plug this number in and see what happens. This will probably look wrong now, but I'm confused. Kind of generally confused. All right, let's see. Oh. Oh, okay, so that was wrong. This looks wrong. This should be 0, 0. Okay. Oh, is the elastic levels not right? No, you're right. So everyone's -8, -8. So what tile is this? This is really hard to tell. I guess I need to check one of the other ones. This is 0, 0. So why is that starting at 1, 1? Oh, are these? I think I know what's happening. These are different. So your transform is 0, your transform is 0. What about your offsets? So you are at -96. You are at -96. I'm just looking for a discrepancy here. These are technically different trees. So this should be -16, -256. This is -16, -2. Okay, everything seems aligned, which is good. Fusionist. It always has you thinking that the majority of the jammer base is young, which is nice though. You just saw turn around, don't turn around. Will you see maybe turn around? Yeah, I don't know. Ryson, you're not a fan of the ones that are the "you are the X" themes. Yeah. I don't like the ones that are just like noun. Just single noun. Like sometimes those can be good, but I feel like there's not enough direction there. I want something that's a little more, I like something that's got a little more punch to it. It's got like an action or something. I like something that's more verb oriented. It provides a little more context than just like I saw one that was just like ocean. And it's like, sure. Oh, shoot. We got a sorcery story raid. Red alert. Battle stations, everybody. We've got another Godot C Sharper coming in here. Raid. Hello, hello. This is a raid. Oxygen canisters where you can see them. Welcome in. How's it going, sorcery? How's Dev been? How are things going? Hello, raiders. We're getting back in. We're getting back in the swing of things. We took last week off. We were at the Game Developers Conference here in San Francisco. We got to meet a lot of incredible people in person that I hadn't gotten to meet before. A lot of Twitch personalities I got to meet in person, which was great. I got to meet Practical NPC, Sympathy, Adam C. Eunice. So we're coming off the highs of that week in Yerba Buena Gardens, just hanging out with game devs and absorbing some knowledge. And yeah, we're trying to incorporate some of that back into our development. We heard a lot of good stuff about how to work on this kind of systematic long form game like we've got, which for anyone who is not aware, we're working on an FTL-like game that's kind of an isometric 3D take on the Starship Simulator that is FTL Fast and Light, a kind of abstracted Starship Simulator. Sorcery, you took the whole stream to figure out a bug with character movement in the overworld. That's fair, that's fair. NanoBlit, thank you for the follow. Appreciate that. Yeah, we're yesterday and kind of when we first started, we were talking more about a build and release strategy. We came up with like a very basic roadmap that we're thinking of gonna get ourselves from alpha through beta to eventual release, you know, sometime next decade. But we have a good target. I saw a really interesting talk about making your game free while in development. So we've developed this new plan of getting a minimum viable product up on itch.io within the next year or so, and then just keeping the game updated, available completely for free while it's in development, and eventually transitioning maybe to a Steam early access sometime in the next 4 or 5 years. I was pretty vague on what my eventual release strategy was going to be, so it was really nice to hear some opinions at GDC. And I'm excited to try this. This was an idea by Walt Dessler, who's the creator of Cosmoteer. He had an idea and he implemented it with his own game of making your game fully free while it's in early development before eventually transitioning to like Steam early access or a Steam release. So I'm excited to try it. Now that we have a roadmap, we kind of need to drill down and figure out what we're going to get done and how we're going to get there. That's exactly what you were thinking of doing? You're way ahead of the curve then. NanoBlit, you're getting a He's Dead Jim vibe? Well, let me tell you.
He's dead, Jim.
You're not wrong. Yeah, we're going classic Star Trek. We're going classic Star Trek with our vibe here. We're still playing around with palettes. We've tried a few different ones, but yeah, I'm doing all the pixel art myself. We're definitely going for kind of an in-between between like the next generation and like the classic Star Trek. Like everything's carpeted, you know, it's all nice colors. Nice big primary colors and stuff. Yeah, I'm a programmer, not a doctor. Thank you, BO problem. Oh man, Fusionist hitting us with some LD stats. That's incredible. NanoBlit, you just finished watching all the TOS movies for the first time? Wow, that's fun. That's fun. Love those. Love the even numbered ones. I'm kidding. I actually love all of them in one way or another. The 6 TOS movies are great. There's not a bad one, there are just better ones. Huh, that's interesting, Fusionist. Ryzen, the makers of Slay the Spire, had an interesting early access strategy. I'll have to dig into that. I'm not super familiar what their strategy was. I think they did have a beta for a long time, because I know they released with like beta art, which they then replaced over time. But yeah, our plan is basically to, as long as the game is feature incomplete, as long as we haven't finished all the systems, we're going to keep it available for free on itch. And so I've just tried to identify a core set of systems that are like the minimum ones that we need to launch, which we think is the ship editor, the interior ship simulation, and then like the exterior like encounter editor, which is like what we'll like, and the exterior like simulation area where the battlefield basically where ships will slug it out in a kind of abstracted FTL style way. That seems like our minimum viable product. We're working towards it. Tile block editor is almost done. That's what we're working on right now. We're finishing up some awkwardness with the tile block editor. And just trying to finish up some features with that. And then we can move on. And then, you know, we talked about kind of what we'd do beyond that, as far as introducing more of the run-based stuff that you'd be used to in like a Slay the Spire or an FTL or something like that. You didn't like the 5th one? The 5th one is the weakest one. But you know what, NanoBlit? It has grown on me over the years. Like, it's bad. It's a bad film. But it's an okay Star Trek movie. Sorcery Story, only difference from that plan was you were thinking of also having the game as a demo on Steam in tandem with itch. That may be not a terrible idea. I definitely want to make sure that I have the Steam page up the whole time the game's available otherwise. Because that was a regret that Walt communicated, was like they had released like an early access version of the game and they hadn't done the Steam page yet, and they like went viral and they didn't have a Steam page to direct people to, and it was like, oof. So yeah, I definitely want to avoid that. I'm not sure about the demo thing, because the part of the point to me of having this alpha version is when we do eventually move to Steam Early Access, the alpha version will stay available. Like, I think that's a really important part of this strategy, is you make this like the classic version, like Spelunky Classic or whatever, and you like keep that version of the game available. So to me, a demo doesn't make a lot of sense for that. But that might be the smart thing to do, is to just keep that alpha as the demo on Steam. It's not a bad idea. I actually am tempted to steal that idea. We'll have to see, because Steam is really tricky about what you're allowed to link out to. So yeah, if Steam won't let me link out to the itch page from the store page on Steam, maybe the only way to get people to play the alpha would be to make it available as a demo on Steam. That's not a bad idea. I'm gonna roll that into my list of things here. Tactics 47, thank you for the follow. Huh, Fusionist, that's interesting. So the sign up to submission ratio for Ludum Dare is always 50%, regardless of the number of people that sign up. I think that's an interesting. Oh, hey, physics lab. I see you. I see you there. Sorcery story. During that time, it could rack up some wish lists and such. Yeah, I definitely want the Steam page up. You're thinking of keeping the demo and the beta paid launch would be the official start of early access phase. Yeah, I think that's smart. That's in line with another suggestion from like the last year, which I think is caught on as a response to like early access, which is like the living or like evolving demo, where you have a demo that you put up and the demo is not just like a screenshot of, or it's not just a snapshot of a moment in time. It's like a thing that you actively are updating. Because yeah, then you get to take advantage of the Steam library news stuff. So when you update a demo, it'll like show up on people's feeds or whatever. That's a good point. That's a good point. When would I want to introduce that? Like the whole time, maybe? Just always have this available up as the demo on Steam? Maybe we'd say itch.io plus Steam demo. Maybe we do that at this point. I don't know, maybe we just have that available as the Steam demo throughout. Or maybe we put it here. Steam demo. This way we just keep the demo to be the alpha version. Although, I don't know, I'm actually not 100% on that. I have to think more about that. Because if the alpha is, you stop developing the alpha once you've reached like feature completeness, and you switch over to this beta branch that's available in early access on Steam, then the demo will always remain this alpha full release state. Maybe that's good. Maybe that's good, maybe that's not good. I don't know. I have to think about that. I'm just gonna leave this here as a question mark. Steam demo. Leave that kind of here. Somewhere in the middle here. Oh, I can't do it because of Obsidian's insane snapping things.
Most illogical.
Yeah. True. Yeah, in that case, depending on how much you change, you may need to go back to the demo and move some stuff over from the dev branch. Yeah, that's an interesting question. That is an interesting question. I think I would want to save that for this. I'm going to leave this here for now. Actually, I guess you might as well keep the demo up as long as possible. For now, I'm just going to have it be from here to here. So the Steam demo will carry over to the alpha full release, and then we'll have to decide what we want to do after that. Okay, I feel reasonable about that. At least as a plan. Obviously, we're making plans in advance. Oh, yeah, during early access, you mean. Yeah, that makes sense. All right, so the thing we're working on right now, to kind of get back to the dev here. Also, you know, obviously you probably need to raid and run, but I appreciate you hanging out. Thank you for the raid. I hope you had a good bug hunting stream. Yeah, best laid plans. Having any plans is good though, because up until this point, I've been in a very pre-production minded, very open-ended development thing. So here's our problem right now. It's hard to tell what layer of the game we're working on. Like what layer you're mousing into. So we're looking at adding like a cursor thing. Oh, if anyone hasn't ever been here before, this is kind of our tool. This is like this is our building tool here. But our problem is that it's like really hard to tell what layer your cursor is on. So I'm thinking about adding a construction grid that like follows your cursor around. And I'm even thinking about having one that like casts down to the next level. So if you're like hovering over this area, but you're like a few levels up, we like have a little cursor or a little outline or something there. So that even if you're up here, it's like casted down. I think if I do that, I need vertical lines between them. I don't know how to draw that in a way that's satisfying. We could even have a tile map that follows the cursor around to solve that problem. So yeah, it's kind of hard to tell where you're building into. Hey, Wasabi Cheetah. Sorry, I was not looking at the chat. Color-coded grids per level. That's not a bad idea. Also, hi, what is an FTL? FTL, faster than light. Oh, thank you for posting the store page, Sorcery. Nanoblit, what if you gray out the other layers? That could work. The layers are already gray, is the problem. But that's just because, Ryson, level editor on Twitch when? On itch when? Yeah, I mean, that's part of the minimum viable product, Ryson. That's what we're going to be working towards. Tile block editor. I should break this up. I should add like a header that says like features or something. Yeah, everything is already gray, but what I am doing here, at least for these lines, you can actually see it better if I re-enable something. So if I get rid of that and I get rid of this. So this is going to show an outline that follows around the actual used space. And as I go further away, as I go elsewhere, as I go down, it kind of fades out, these lines. So we could do something like a fade. I mean, when the ship is actually like, once you've actually got the ship drawn and you're mousing around it, it's like pretty easy to tell what you're looking at. But it's this build. Oh no. Oh yeah. Okay. So there's some offset thing happening here. That's wrong. That's fascinating. I need to figure out why that is. Like, why are we drawing one further than the outline? I mean, I know how that's happening, but I need to understand why. But yeah, if you just fill in everything, you just fill in the whole thing. It's like pretty trivial to tell what's going on. This might start to perform a little badly here. But yeah, if the space is filled in, you can pretty easily tell like where you are. But it's when the space is sparse. It's when you're building and the space is sparsely populated. That's when it's like really hard to tell where you are. But if the space is densely packed, it's like pretty easy because of the cutaway system. All right. So this happened when I added an offset to that. So if I move that back down, that should go away. Gotta go. No worries. Thank you, Sorcery. Have a great rest of the stream. Thank you. Have a great rest of your day. See you around. NanoBlit, like make the other layers darker and the current one lighter. You haven't seen a game like that that draws the layers above the current layer, you think. Yeah, traditionally in this sort of thing, a game will just eliminate with extreme prejudice any layer that's like above the layer you're working at. So like if I have this layer here, the traditional thing to do would be to just hide the entire roof layer on top of it. But I kind of like this cutaway view. It lets you see a lot more of the holistic space around it. I think I will include like sim style options where you can say like, no, just kill all the walls. I want to see everything. Or keep all the walls raised, but remove the ceilings or something. I think I'll have some toggles for like different ways to see in within. It's so weird that this is offset. Or that the tile maps are offset, but they're drawing correctly. I need to understand why that's happening. I kind of like this grid, this elastic grid that's showing us like the actually used space. I feel like this is helping me understand where we are in space. But I don't think it's sufficient by itself. Ooh. Okay, so it's being drawn in an offset. I see what's happening. Fascinating. Okay, I see a weird discrepancy here that I need to sort out. But thank you, Raiders, for hanging out. Thanks, Sorcery, again, for the raid. If y'all need to leave, I mean, I know Sorcery has already left, but behave. She says behave for anyone remaining. But anyone who remains, I appreciate you hanging out. But yeah, I like our little cutaway system. I think it has problems. Oh, here's a problem. When we rotate around the constructed area, the outlines don't rotate with it. That's something we need to address. So when I said the tile map editor is almost done, I mean, it's 80% done, which means we have another 80% left to go until it's actually done. And it's one of those things where it's like, I think I'd be tempted to ignore this stuff, but I want to make these tools available to actual players, at least modders. All right, so we have to deal with this offset. So this offset. So I need this negative offset. Otherwise, the cursor is not being mapped correctly. Is that correct? For everyone who got stuck in the ads, I'm sorry. 90% is really 10%. That's how it feels sometimes. I like to think of it more as the first 80%. You have the first 80% that you need to get through in a project, and then you have the second 80% that you also need to do. NanoBlit, will we be able to have 1,000 crew on your enterprise? I don't think so. I'm gonna be very honest. The maximum build area that I've decided I'm willing to support, which is an arbitrary limit, is like 64 by 64 by 8. And that's way bigger than I think we'll ever need. I think if I ever build a space station, we might up it to like 64 by 64 by 64, maybe, if you want a space station that's more vertical. I'm concerned and not convinced that the verticality is going to be good. Okay, so this is all right. I'm testing the like. Okay. I'm testing whether the cursor is in the same space as the thing that's being built. And it seems good. This seems also correct. Is the selection cursor? The selection cursor seems to be wrong, is interesting. Maybe not, though. No, the selection cursor is also right. Okay, I've resolved the weird offset thing. What I want to do is have something that casts down from wherever the mouse cursor is to the nearest surface, if there is one. And if there isn't, it's just gonna stay here, I think. I think that will help a little. So that if you have a floor down here and you're like up above it here, I think being able to cast down to where that is in the floor will look good. Obviously, we're not going to render this whole other grid that I'm showing. We have that there just for a temporary visualization purpose. So we'll hide that. So we've got this thing we're calling the hover levels. So let's work on that. NanoBlit, you would think for something on Star Trek scale, you would need like a custom data-oriented engine or something, like Factorio level of optimization. Well, let me tell you, you came from Sorcery Story, so you're familiar with this, but we're doing a lot of stuff in C# here. So the way we've kind of set up our project, let me see if I have this written down anywhere. Not really. We have an entity component system. Yeah, here's something kind of like it. So you can think of it kind of like, here's a stupid systems diagram that doesn't actually help describe much. So we've got like our auto loads, like the input handler, which is just like a GD script auto load that takes in input. We have the scene tree. At the roof of the scene tree is a game manager, which is this here, game node. You can also see it in here, the game node. What we do, the way we're kind of doing this is there's a bunch of sub-managers. You could think of them as systems, like in the ECS sense. And all of this stuff, this is like the data simulation layer. This layer is actually totally separate from the Godot scene tree and node system. Like, these aren't nodes. Like, entities are not nodes in our system. So we go through this big simulation, figure out, you know, run all this simulation on the very lightweight data. So our data is very lightweight because it's not a node. They're just entities with components. We figure out everything. We figure out what needs to be rendered. And then a scene manager basically draws and updates only the nodes that can be seen or interacted with.
Vulcan mind, Spock.
You're out of your Vulcan mind, Spock. And you started a hype train, so you triggered 2 VFX sounds on its own. Still needs work. Coming in with the 5 gifted subs. Oh, a gifted sub for Sorcery Story. How perfect. And smooth into second. Hype. Thank you so much, Still Needs Work. You're the best. Really appreciate that. Thank you for getting us to hype train level 2, which I don't think we've ever achieved before. I'm actually not sure we've ever had a hype train on this channel. Thank me. Oh, you're too kind. I'd be streaming dev work either way. Maximum warp. Smooth in a second.
Logic was impeccable, Captain.
So good. Thank you so much. That means a lot to me. You got us to our sub goal of 10 subs as well. Thank you, thank you. All right, my train of thought just got destroyed by the hype train. The hype has destroyed my train of thought. All right. Hydrating. Do not apologize. Do not apologize. We'll figure it out. We're making we're trying to do this this thing like how a flying unit will draw a line down to like where it actually is on the ground. We're doing a similar thing with the hover. That's the goal, is that we're going to be doing a similar thing with the mouse hover. I'm just thinking about how we're going to do that. This game is going to be so good. I really appreciate that vote of confidence. Because sometimes it's hard to believe that that's going to be true. I'm constantly like, is this 3D chess? Because 3D chess is not good. I don't know how many people have played like Star Trek's like 3D chess game. But they were like, we're going to reinvent like... They were like, we're going to reinvent chess. We're going to make 3D chess. And here's the funny thing about it. It's like not better than regular chess. In many ways, it's worse than regular chess. And I am very concerned that what I'm doing by violating the like flat hierarchy of FTL is that I'm basically making 3D chess. But even worse, because you can't actually see everything that's happening. So I have some concerns. But, you know, if we can get through this stuff, I think this is going to be pretty cool. How is it worse? It's just, it's convoluted. It's not, here's maybe the thing. I don't know if 3D chess is worse than regular chess, but it's definitely not better. It like doesn't improve the underlying thing at all. You think it'll be fun to watch guys run around and navigate the ship? I'm really hoping so. I think what we're going to really have to do, though, is kind of slow down the pacing a little bit. Because, as NanoBlitz said, you know, or suggested, we're not going to have 1,000 people crew, but you might have a dozen. You might have more than a dozen. And they're all running around. In FTL, you only have 5 or 6 or something like that, or maybe 7, I don't remember. And you won't be able to see them all because they're going to be on different levels. So you're going to need to, like, bounce around, and then you'll need to zoom out and see what's going on another ship. There's just... We're violating what I consider to be a good game design rule. And it's okay to violate a rule sometime. But we're violating the keep everything on one screen rule, which is like core for like FTL does this. Everything is available at a glance on one screen. Into the Breach does this. So I think we're going to need to like slow the game down a little bit to make up for this. And I think it's probably going to be a little more RimWorld-y, as far as maybe a little bit heavier on the simulation and a little bit less of like a Twitch reflexes kind of game. Oh, the hype train has been completed. Oh, my reward was the chill girl emote. Very happy. Choo-choo. Oh, you got the button mash. The button mash emote is like one of my favorite emotes. So good. Like Sims, but better. Rhiannon Journey. It'd be cool to add hotkeys to either rooms or people so you can jump straight to them. I think it will be... I think I will let you have control groups. Or maybe you can just tab through crew members or something. Probably tab through crew members is good. And then maybe have control groups for rooms or something. Whether they're hard-coded or player-defined. Yeah, I think there needs to be ways of doing that. We can also do things like... here, like there's in the left, there's like unit portraits You can probably like click a unit portrait and it will like take the camera to that crew member or something like that. Like there's stuff we can do to help for sure. Still needs work. The best literature authors violate rules. Yeah, I mean, you need to know if you need to understand the rule before you violate it. And I feel like we are at least at that point. NanoBlit, is it going to have active pause? Definitely. Definitely. It is going to be pausable real time. And I think by active pause, you mean like you can still do things while you're paused. Like you pause the game and you can issue orders and stuff like that. Yes, we will support that. And I think that will solve a lot of these problems. All right. All right. I said I was going to do one thing today. I said I was going to add a stupid little mouse cursor construction grid thing. And I haven't done that. So I'm going to focus. I'm going to focus up a little bit. Yeah, we definitely need to do that, NanoBlit. That is like, to me, that's one of the cores of FTL Faster Than Light, is that pausable real-time feeling. I have some issues with it because it kind of turns the game into almost like this turn-based experience when you overuse it. When you're like pausing things to get like frame perfect selections on stuff, and you're like, I think it can be abused, but obviously it's something that's needed. You really can't make this kind of a game. Oh, here's another output pack tile map data. Why are you allocating memory? Oh, is it these U-short arrays? Oh, wait. No, it's here. Oh, it's the casting of the pack data to an array. That's fine. 65 megabytes in a large object heap is not the worst, but we do need something better eventually. I wonder how I could do that differently. I wonder if I could create like a registry of pack data in byte array form instead of recreating the array cons all the time. I could probably do that. I could probably have like a the pack data as span to array is not great. Oh, we're casting it to byte from short. That's why. Why do I have to do the as span thing? Oh, is it because... Oh, it's because memory marshal cast takes the span. And then so we're doing the conversion and then casting it to an array. I see. I see. I wonder if we could just send it over in U-short form. And avoid the cast. Let me look at this. I said I was going to focus, and then I immediately get distracted by like a memory allocation issue. Oh my god, an anonymous gifter has given NanoBlit a tier 1 sub. I can't believe the generosity of this channel sometimes. NanoBlit, you like it because it lets you chill while playing a game and put as much thought into what you're doing as you like. You don't like being rushed in strategy-like games. Oh, for sure. You feel like strategy games without active pause are very stressful to play. Yeah, we at one point have weighed turn-based versus pausable real-time, but yeah, to me, you can't have a real-time game without pause. And like you're saying, like an active pause where you can actually, do things. All right, so I want to go... So who does the actual file? Who unpacks the tile map data? Who does that? Is it you? All levels. Unpack tile map data. Packed byte array. Oh, it's because you're a packed byte array. Let me look at this for a second here. I like looking at the equivalencies for array types. Where is that part? Packed byte array is really dope, but we're having to do the conversions. And if we don't have to do the conversion, I would like to not. Collections. Okay, so they have byte, int, long, float, double, string. Oh, okay, so they don't have ushort, which makes sense. That's unfortunate. Okay, so we have to figure out a solution. Actually, this should be easy. What if we just keep the byte array around and we do the conversion the other way, where we get a span of the byte array as ushort, fill it, and then send the original array back. Oh, that's a good idea. We're going to try that. I'm going to make a note to do that later because I don't want to do that right now. To do. What if to do try doing the conversion the other way, where the byte array gets passed as a ushort span and then filled. Yeah, we're gonna try that. We're gonna try that as an alternative. Try to address this array issue, because then we at least just have the packed byte arrays, or we just have the byte arrays around, and I think we're approaching this unintuitive way. Cool. Tight. All right, so the construction grid, update construction grid, this is how we're generating all of our little dotted outline things. They all work basically the same. So the easiest thing to do would be to just add another one for this purpose. Yeah, so here we have like update construction grid game.input.selection. So what we would want is we'd want basically another one where we'd say update construction grid, and we'd want something. So instead of like game.input.cursor coords, we would say something like, we would want something slightly different than game.cursor coords, which we can't use because that's not an AABB. But we want to basically cast the coords down to the nearest layer that has something. By has something, I mean has a tile beneath it. Change the radio. Chill out a little bit. Interesting how this one has allocation issue and this one does not. This also has oh, I know about this allocation issue. We were just talking about it. This one's is interesting. Oh, I also know about that. Okay. I really love Ryder. I love Ryder's ability to tell me things like this, to analyze and inform me. They're like, okay, you're kind of thrashing the heap here. Is there something you could do better? Like, that's something that I would have a hard time identifying on my own, but it's really helpful that Ryder does it for me. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to figure out this projection. And we only want to do it under a certain case. So I think I understand what we're going to be doing here. So we'll hide this. We're going to make a new game input thing here. Instead of cursor coords, it's going to be like I'm gonna call it like hover projection or something. I don't know. Hover. I'll probably just call it hover coords, and in such a way that it's impossible to tell what it actually is. Oh, it's not a coord, is it? It's like a AABB. Actually, it is a coord. Actually, it is an AABB because it could also be the selection. We want to do the same thing with the selection. That'll be a second step, because that way if you make a selection, like let's say you box an area and copy it, I want to have that same projection of the cursor, but for like whatever the whole selection is. But that'll be a second step. That'll be the next step. So we're going to call this, I'm going to just call this a projection. I like this track. Game.input.projection at the moment is just going to be a new AABB using chords. Keep it simple for now. Oh, but it's not. It's not this. It's way crazier than this. Maybe this isn't even a thing that we need to... Maybe this needs to be a function in the tile system to figure this projection out. I'm going to say something like... So what we're going to do, what we need to do is we need to... So we've got the span, we've got the block buffer, we've got the span. What we're basically going to do is we're going to start going down. So we can say something like for integer z equals game.input.cursor coords.z. Z is less than... where do I have the max? I guess I can say levels. Z++. So we're basically gonna go through the Z's. We're gonna ask if we need a thing here. So not bounds, we need to call this like projection or something like that. Private AABB projection. We call it just say cursor. Just confusing, but should work. Okay, so what we're doing is here we're gonna say if read-only span. How am I going to get this? I need to get the index. Oh, we just say if block buffer dot contains game dot input dot cursor coords with z equals z. The containment is good, right? So contains is an AABB and closes. Check. Yeah. Oh, I don't know if we actually need to do that check, but we're going to. That might be an unnecessary safety check. And then we're gonna say if read-only span block buffer. We gotta get the index dot get index of this. Why doesn't that work? Oh, to bool. We're gonna ask if it's not empty. If that dot form block empty all right, this is kind of convoluted. But this is an okay way to start. Oh, equals new ABB. What do you want to do? You want to like invert it probably? I can't remember if I made an empty block form already that we can use. Oh, we can do an is empty check. That's fine. Let's do that. We'll say if read only dot is empty. We're going to say continue. Otherwise, we'll set this cursor here and we will break. All right, this is very scuffed, but it will do what we want for now, I think. I think it's an okay initial thing to try here. And what we're going to do is we're going to say update construction grid 3 cursor. All right, what we need to do now is we need to add that third grid here. This is like grossly like hard coded. Private node hover. Say hover equals. Is that what I called it? Hover levels? It's terrible. That is what I called it. Nodes.add hover. Oh wait, I want to add you last. No, I can add you in whatever order I want. Elastic hover select. So in that case, we actually want it to be like this. How's everyone doing today? Anything exciting going on? Either game dev or otherwise? Spring clearing, very excitement. Hey, Fez on SC2. Yeah, I need to do some of that. I need to do some of that soon. This weekend for me is going to be filing my tax return and doing spring cleaning. It'll be very exciting. But I really don't have time otherwise to do it before tax day. Especially with Ludum Dare next weekend. And then a little trip the weekend after that. I thought April would be a little more chill for me, and then I've like already filled up my whole month at work with like stuff to do. And it's not even April yet. Somehow I already filled up the whole month with stuff to do at work. But yeah, some spring cleaning would be nice to do. All right, let's see if this works. It should do something. What should it do if it gets through here otherwise? I did not include a thing to do for that. What I should do is I should say cursor equals game.input.cursor coords. Oh. It's a new VB. Okay, this way we've established a default. That should help. It's gonna be a little janky, for sure. But let's see what this does. Is there a big GDC thing going on? You're getting a lot of these people at work. That was last week. It's pretty much done now. Okay, this doesn't seem to be doing anything. We're not getting any errors. But yeah, it was big last week. GDC was huge. It's usually like 20,000 people or something show up in downtown San Francisco. It was cool. I went every day except Friday. I needed like a day to chill. All right, so why is this not doing anything? All right, let's take a look at the debugger here. Oh, there we go. Why is the selection defaulting to 1-1 and not 0-0? Very strange. I mean, it's a problem that it's showing up at all, but... Oh, is this never working because there's a... Oh, right. It's just defaulting to, like, the initial... I see what to do here. So we're actually going to say this. It's not drawing anything, which is also a problem. Okay, so it's getting the right numbers now. So we're getting the right values out of this, I think. Yeah, so we're getting the right value, but we're not drawing anything. Why are we not drawing anything? Oh, we're just not... I hid that layer. That's a mistake. Okay. Okay, so we have a little outline thing that follows the cursor around. That's good. That's what we want. Let's see what happens when we go down to a lower level. So if we go down to a lower level and then we go back up. Aha! Let's look at that again, but like bigger. I think that goes a long way to solving that orienteering problem. So now if I draw this, the little outline thing stays here. But if I go down a level and I add this another level up here and then I go back up. Oh. Okay, so slight problem, but I see it. So it kind of works. We need to deal with that we need to deal with one weird edge case. Okay, so if we've got this, so if we've got 3 different levels, you can kind of see. So it kind of falls down here. So here it's clear that we're drawing here. And then if you go off this edge. Oh, this is off by 1 again. There's something weird happening with, yeah, I want to see this, but only... I think we need to go the opposite. I think I need to do this in the opposite order. No, that doesn't fix it. So we're handling this part fairly correctly. Like how to see lower levels. So we can go from here to here down to here. You can kind of see the outline gets further away and gets lower. So you can at least see where you are. Oh. What is happening now? Okay, there's some weird stuff going on. Oh. Okay. We're getting there. We're getting there. So we can see this projected way down here. We can see it projected here. We can see it projected here. I need to be able to handle this case, though, where you're, like, on the actual area that's being projected. The problem with that is that this is always going to be true. If I just straight up look at the coordinate that your mouse cursor is actually at, and it looks for a block there, it's always going to tell you that there's a block there because of this this hover thing. And it also fails when we're not in... I think that's okay, maybe? I need a way to have it ignore this. I need to figure out a way for it to ignore this area, the hovered tile, but not this one. I'm gonna do that. This is close. We're getting close to what we want here. I think it is helping. I think we just need to clarify it a little bit more. So we get like this, and then we go down. Oh, yeah, whoa. Oh, no, that's correct. Because it's... I want to try something. We have the outline anchored to the bottom of the floor tile, and I think I want the outline at the top of the floor tile, not the bottom. So to try that, we're going to remove these offsets. We're going to try this. This might fail for a number of reasons, but we're going to try it anyway. That went the opposite way. Okay. So that actually did the opposite of what I thought it would do. So we actually need to double down on this offset. So -16. -16. Let's just copy that. All right. See what happens if we go that way. I'm a little worried the targeting is going to be wrong. Okay, so yeah, the outline is correct now. But I think the targeting is, I would consider this wrong. Maybe not, though. It feels okay, like where the cursor is, feels okay for... Oh, it's easier to tell whether you're drawing just a wall or a wall and a floor now because of the dotted line in the middle there. It's kind of nice. This feels okay when you're drawing walls as far as the relationship between the cursor and the thing being drawn, but when you're doing just the floor, it feels a little wrong. It feels like it should be down one. And I think that's just to do with the input handler. Or the surface the input handler is using to tell where the position is. I should check that code. But anyway, let's check the thing that we actually care about, which is this tiered thing that we're using to figure out what's going on here. Okay, so let's see how this looks now. So it's kind of broken here at the top level. Then we get to the second level and it's kind of good. So you have a projection down to the second level. And then you get down to the third level, you have a projection down to the third level. So this is cool. This helps you tell where you are relative to a lower level. And then you get to the fourth level. Oh, why doesn't the fourth level work? Huh. Oh, maybe it's so low that you actually can't see it. Yeah, I think that's what's happening. All right, so we need to handle this case. We need this to work correctly when you're operating on this, the highest level. But then acknowledge the lower levels, and maybe we need to do the modulation a little differently so you can actually see what's going on. I do like the fading out a little bit of the color to let you know that there's a more of a difference. But I think we're going a little too far with it. So let's look at both those things. So right now, I think we're using the static levels tile map to determine the tile we're looking at. I think that's how we're doing it in the input handler. So where are we mapping that? In the board? On the game board? All right, so where are we picking this coordinate? Map cursor to level coords. This is it. That is right here. So vector 2i, static layers, level index, local to map. Okay, so we want some offset. The problem is we're providing too much of an offset. So this is going to be weird, but we're actually going to change this one's offset back to 8. Or -8 from -16. That should fix that part. And then the other thing is we want to tone down the modulation, which is hiding the levels when they're too far away. That's this. Excuse me. That's this 1 minus relative disk times 2 divided by 2. I think the divided by 2 thing is maybe our problem here. I'm not sure though. Oh, that's bright. But it's working in terms of I feel like I'm targeting the correct point now. All right, and so what if we go down a level? Make it a little bigger. Go down another level. Make it a little bigger. Go down another level. Wait, so why is this getting darker even when I'm going down a level? That doesn't make any sense. Okay, but this is good. See how this cascades down? I think this is helping me figure out what layer I'm on. And then if I'm not on any layer, it'll just be right on top. I think this accomplishes the goal of letting us know where we're at in terms of depth. But there's a couple issues here. I think I have time to deal with them. I gotta go soon, but we're good. We're looking good on time. I know it's quieted down in here, but I appreciate everyone just hanging out. Whoever's just here to co-work or chill or lurk or whatever. Appreciate it. All right, so this feels good. Handling this is a little not so good. Oh, because I'm past the I need to handle going past the boundary. Oh no, we do handle that. What? What's happening? What layer am I on? Oh, we're on this layer. Oh. Okay. All right, so there's some edge cases that are behaving weirdly, but when you're in game mode, I'm realizing we're going to need to be a little... No. I don't know. Never mind. Ignore me. I don't know what I'm talking about right now. All right, how to get it to show up here. All right, where is this level index number coming from? I feel like I should be setting this somewhere, and I don't think I am. Is it being done here in the tile levels? Level index, pan viewer up or down, level index equals view level. Okay. That's strange. Oh. The way we're calculating this modulation, I think, is very strange. Because when I actually physically go down, it continues to get... It should get brighter because that's the level that I'm actually on. I think we're doing that part wrong. I'm not sure what's going on there, though. This part works, though. Alright, let's fix this part. So the problem is we're basically casting down, and if we find a block beneath the mouse cursor as we look down through the Z axis, the first one we find is where we try to draw that thing. The problem is there will always be a block exactly where the mouse cursor is. Pretty much always, because of the hovering system, because you want to preview what it will look like if you place a block somewhere. And for the auto tiler's sake, we don't actually make a distinction between a preview block and an actual block. Like, the block is effectively there from the tile, from a tile map standpoint. Even though it's just a preview and it might go away next frame. So the problem is we need to figure that out. We need to understand whether it's just there or not, but we can't do that in this system. We could do that in the tool system. We could do an evaluation of that block. We could do that in the tool system. Because in the tool system, we can tell whether a block is a preview block or not. But we can't do that in the tile system. By then, there's no distinction between the two. So I think we need to rewrite this here. And just set an input or something. Which is fine, because this hover thing is kind of like a editor build. A build mode feature. So we don't actually need to run it all the time. We would run it here. We would set something, not cursor chords. We'd call it something else. We'd call it like, well, we can go back to calling it like the projection or something, or like cursor bounds or something like that. Probably just call it like grid projection or something like that. Grid projection. Let's do that. All right, so we can set this projection up here and then we can just use it later. So for that, we're going to recreate some of this here. So if the clipboard is empty, otherwise we're going to do this. Oh, we could take advantage of the clipboard here too. That's going to be a little harder. So what we're going to do here is we're going to... So after all of this has been done, here, we're going to say... We can basically move this section over, basically. Here, essentially. Instead of cursor, we're going to say something like... projection. This will be okay for now. So we'll set the projection here. Then we're basically going to say... What do we call this here? We don't call it block buffer. We call it buffer. We don't have the span. We need to get the span. Kind of annoying. Well, what we can do is we can say... Where do we keep track of the hidden block? Oh, here they are, hidden blocks. So we can basically say, is this block hidden? Or if there's a hidden block underneath it, is that an actual block? That's what we're going to do. We're going to say, if hidden blocks contains key, game.input.cursor coords with z equals z. Do we only need to do that for the first level? We only need to do that for the first level. So we'll actually say that here. Put that up here. We don't need the with z equals z thing. We're just looking in here for the cursor coords in the hidden block list. If it's here, we're gonna say projection. We just do this. Or actually, we can do this a different way. We'll do it like this. So only if this actually isn't true will we continue. In which case, we do need to get the span, which is unfortunate. Block buffer dot... Or what do we call it? We call it buffer here. Buffer dot get or buffer dot read only. Read only span. All right, we're gonna try this real quick. If it doesn't work, rip. How do I get the list of the total number of levels? It's game.board.maximum.z. That's annoying. Game.board.maximum.z. And I think it's less than or equal. Projection. All right, we're gonna try this real quick. We've got pre-rolls going because I've been snoozing the ads. because I need to wrap up soon, but I want to try this real quick. And then in which case we're going to get rid of this. Instead, we're going to say game dot, what did I call it? Grid projection or something like that? Game dot input. Just going to call it projection. In which case, we actually need to assign it though. I'm going to say here, we can actually just say, instead of having a variable, we can just say game.input.projection. All right, let's see what this does. I'm curious. It's probably going to behave very weirdly in a lot of cases. So far, so good. What if we go down a level? And then what if we go back up a level? Shoot. I missed something. So if not hidden blocks dot contains key. Oh, it's more than this. It's gonna be. It's not just whether there's a hidden block there. It's. We need to say if hidden blocks dot contains key. Well, here, let's say try get. Try get value. Out. Block value. And then we can say if value is equal to block. Actually, we're going to say if value dot is empty. What's up, Rhiannon? IDE. This is janky. Oh, you're pocket typing. Fair enough. Understandable. All right, let's see if this worked. All right, it did. So it can correctly read when we're on a surface like this, and it can project down like this. Let's go another layer. How's this, Rhiannon? I think this is reasonable as far as like helping you tell where you are. There's a couple issues with this, but I think this largely solves a lot of the visibility issues of not knowing where you are. I think that's good. You think that's looking really good minus the weirdness? That's fair. There's not a lot of weirdness with it. The weirdness in my mind is that it starts to behave kind of badly when you're like it shouldn't show at all when you're like this. It should only show when you're like elsewhere. Yeah. We can figure it out. I think we're on the right track. All right. I just used my last snooze. Ryson, you like that? All right. That's what I want to hear. Yeah, I need it to just go away when we're I need to do something. Cuz it doesn't fix the problem of like when you're over the void, it's like where are you? It only helps you relate yourself to other things that have already been built. So when you're over the void, it's like pretty hard to tell where you are. So I think I need one more thing. Maybe just something on the side that shows just like a series of notches of like, here's where you are in the Z level or something. Just want something that lets you know where you are in a vacuum. I don't know what that's going to be, but I think we need something like that. But this is good for helping you figure out where you are relative to other things. All right, cool. All right, we did a thing that we said we were going to do yesterday. Or that we said yesterday that we're going to do. So, you think I got most of the weirdness figured out? It's mostly related to the projecting down, which looks fixed. Yeah, the projecting down is mostly fixed. There's something about the modulation that I need to fix about. It can tell like how far away it is from the active layer, but that part's not working correctly. Ryson, really good minus the part that isn't good. You're killing me here. Maybe like a column of shadow beneath the tool. Maybe. I haven't really gotten into shadowing things. Yeah, we'll think about that. I think we can wrap that part up tomorrow. Figure out something that helps you understand where you are in a vacuum. And I think those two things together will be plenty. But yeah, I gotta wrap up for today. Unfortunately, I waited too long and now I just gotta go. I was hoping to raid somebody to pay it forward, but I gotta run. Actually, I should have ended like 20 minutes ago. But I wanted, you know, you just want to get that one last thing in. You want to fix that last bit. Good job today. Thank you, Ryson. Yeah, I know. We said we were going to do a thing and we eventually got there. After about 2 hours. We eventually got to it. I don't like the way I'm kind of just sticking bits on to the code in places. But, you know, you do what you got to do. So I'm going to wrap it up here. Thank you all so much for watching. Welcome back to the dev portion of making a game. Thank you, Rhiannon Journey. That is how it feels. It's crazy to take all this time off to go to a conference all about making games and like, but not do any game development during that time. And now I came back here and I'm like, oh man, there's so much work to do. And there is. We got a roadmap though now. So we just got to dig in more to the first part. And just do the hard. We just got to put in the work. That's 90% of everything is just putting in the work. So we're going to do that. And we'll be back tomorrow for more of that. And thank you, Sorcery Story, for the raid. Thank you, Still Needs Work, for the gift bomb. Thank you, Anonymous, for the gift sub. And thank you all for hanging out with me today. The next 90% is putting in the rest of the work. Yeah, exactly. All right. Hope you all have a great rest of your day, and I will see you all next time. Bye.